Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea, hope you're all well. So I've got a brand new pedal to show you in this video. For those of you who follow my channel a while, you'll know that I've worked a lot with Keeley Electronics in the past. Robert Keeley is most famous for modding sort of pedals like tube screamers, all that kind of stuff back in the day. And he also has his own pedal brand called Keeley Electronics, which you may know Mick and Dan from that pedal show. They released a pedal together called the D&M Drive. But Robert Keeley and Keeley Electronics also create, time-based effects, modulation, fuzz, overdrive, all sorts of stuff. There's a bunch of different pedals on their website, so I'll link it in the description box below. In any case, I got an email from Aaron Pierce, who's a lovely chap that I generally speak to at Keeley Electronics, and I have done over the last few years, and he said, I've got a pedal that I think you're probably going to be into, because if you've watched my content or listened to my music, you'll know that I like fuzz, and you'll know that I like octave, and especially putting the two together, which gives you a clue as to what this pedal is. Today we're looking at the brand new Octa PSI from Keeley Electronics, which is of course a fuzz and an octave put together. At this point, I'll just let you know there are chapter markers throughout the video, so you can jump ahead to find the part that most suits you. So check the chapter markers for easy viewing, and of course let's crack on. So the Octa PSI, think POG mixed with fuzz. So on the fuzz side, you've got a few different modes, different types of voicing for that fuzz, like a scooped one, a bass heavy one, and then one that's a bit more like rounded. And of course, you've got control of the amount, the volume of the fuzz, and the tone, and all that kind of stuff. And then on the octave side, think POG. So in a sense, you've got octave above, octave below, 2 octaves above and below, and then you've got a bunch of different intervals, whether it be second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever, and you can make them major or minor. But there are also a couple of different controls under the hood of the pedal, which make it a little bit more unique. On top of that, you've got control over the order of which the effects go in, so you could have the octave first and then the fuzz, and vice versa, swapping it around and stuff like that. On top of that, there are a couple of TRS outputs on the back, so you can control this pedal remotely. You can use an expression pedal to blend in the amount of octave or like harmony that's going on there, as well as a bunch of other features to make it a little bit more expansive in terms of its controllability, or I guess is the word. In any case, Aaron thought it'd be cool for me to try out because they're effects that I know and use all the time, so it'd be cool for me to try and mess around with it in the style that I like to play. So we've got the Octa PSI going into my Kraken, and then that's going to the SO Reactive IR load box into my Neural DSP plugin cab section. I can use time-based effects in there as well, so that's how you'll be hearing it. On top of that, I decided to add a Maxon OD808 in front, because one other thing that I like to do in my own sort of tone searching with octave and fuzz is boost that mid-range by using an overdrive in front of that as well. Gives you a little bit more articulation, a bit more definition, because fuzz can get quite messy, and adding octave on there like a lower octave can make the whole thing kind of flubby and uncontrollable. But by adding that overdrive in front, it can certainly like tighten things up, give you a little bit more definition in the riffs that you want to play. So I figured we'd do that too. As you know, I've done pedal videos over the years. This is just me messing around, getting some tones. It's up to you what you think of it. I'll of course link it in the description box below. It's also worth saying it's a sponsored video. Keeley did reach out and said, can we send you this for you to promote on your channel upon releasing this pedal? And of course I agreed. So it is a sponsored video, but without further ado, let's check out the Octa PSI from Keeley Electronics. Okay, let me show you the starting tone. Generally, I like to use a crunch to put fuzz in front of, because I find when it mixes with the preamp of your amplifier, it gives you much more colossal tone when using fuzz, rather than putting it in front of a clean, can get a little bit harsh and nasal. So that's what I like to do. I'm using the Kraken Mark II on the crunch, and this is how it sounds before we add any effects. As you can hear, we've got some reverb and delay in the background, which I'll mess around with after the fact. Now, as you can see on the pedal camera, this is the Octa PSI. We've got a few different modes and a few different things we'll go through, but the way I've got it set currently is kind of nice. This is how I like it. So you can see fuzz is on full, boosting the level quite a lot, so it's hitting the front of the amp nicely, and tone just below halfway, because what you tend finds to happen with these kind of pedals when you boost the tone is you get a bit of a nasal quality to it. So let's have a listen to the fuzz by itself. So that's the fuzz tone that I generally went for before starting this video when I was messing around with the pedal. It's on the scoop setting, so I guess the quickest and easiest thing to do will be to jump between the three different modes of fuzz. So this is the scoop. And now we'll go to PSI or PSI. And now we'll go to punch, which is accentuated low end. So the middle position, PSI, adds a little bit more sort of top end information. Generally, the way it's blending with the amp for me is nice. It's nice and bold and thick, and chords sound big and epic, and when you add the reverb and delay, it's always nice to do. It's actually not the noisiest either, as you can hear. Some fuzzes are really noisy. In any case, those are kind of the three modes, so I'd like to leave that where it is for now. The more complex side of the pedal is the octave. So at the minute, I've got it switched to an octave up and down. Now the toggle switch in the middle allows you to move between octave up, octave down, or both. So it's always funny playing chords with these kind of polyphonic octaves because it's trying to hang on to all the different notes. But it doesn't do a half bad job of tracking that. So anyway, we can jump between the three different octaves, above, below, and both. So that's one octave above and below. This is two. Before we move on to the different intervals, one of the nice features that I read in the manual, believe it or not, I actually read the manual, was the blend knob. So obviously it controls the blend of the pedal, of the amount of octave, but if you push it down and then twist it, it actually allows you to dial in and favor one octave over the other. So So that's the general octave side, like in terms of like the micropog, for example, the one that I use a lot, octaves up and down, but it's also got control over a load of different intervals. So let's check those out. I've never been a big fan of harmony pedals generally, because I find like how can I like play freely when I'm locked into like an interval like that, but there are a bunch of different ones. I guess like perfect fifth is fun because it gives you essentially a power chord. Fuzz. That's a tritone. Bit intense. That one's kind of fun. And then octave up. And then there's another mode outside of the intervallic stuff that is quite cool, and that's like the detune one. So it kind of gives you a chorusy effect. And you can control how much of that detuned effect by the old push the blend knob down. Which when you add the fuzz is going to sound probably quite big. So when you've got the fuzz and that sort of pitchy tuning fork setting, it kind of gets into the world of like a Lesley cabinet kind of thing on top of your fuzz, which is quite vibey. It's also worth saying that on all of the different intervals, when you use that push the blend knob down and twist it, you get a different option. So let me show you again. Just something to think about when you're sort of messing with this pedal is there's plenty of other options using that blend pot and being able to dial that in. And of course, if you plug in your expression pedal or TRS jack on the back, you can access these controls as well. So it's one of these pedals that seems simple on the surface, but it's definitely worth checking out the cheat sheet that they send in the box as well, because it does quite a lot more than what it looks like it does. So next I'm going to change the order of the effects. At the minute we've got octave first, then fuzz. If you press down and hold both foot switches, the LED that represents either fuzz or octave will flash 3 times to let you know which is first in the chain. So in theory, because we've got octave first, when I press and hold the foot switches, the fuzz light should flash 3 times to say fuzz is now first. So let's try that. Okay, so fuzz is first now. This is how it sounds. And then we'll keep the settings the same, do it again. So now octave is first. So it's actually cleaner putting the fuzz first. It's interesting. On my pedal board, when I have my, or even using something like the Quad Cortex, when I put my octave first, it ends up being a bit cleaner than afterwards, just in terms of tracking. But, you know, I guess with the guitar going into the pedal, maybe it handles tracking first, so it doesn't really matter which way around they are. I'm not quite sure. In any case, let's just mess around with some tones. I'm going to keep it on the octave below, throw on the overdrive and just have a riff. Okay, so there's a look at the Keeley Electronic Octa PSI with a few different riffs and tones and just a quick overview of what it does and what it can do. It's worth saying that I think this is the first pedal that I've tried where it has both that style of octave pedal and fuzz in the same box. Generally speaking, I use my POG 2 and a few different fuzzes and I sort of mix them together like that. And you can kind of do that in one box, if you know what I mean. Like, I've got control over the octaves up and down, and then I can have them together, and then on top of that I've got a fuzz. The fuzz is sort of a nice thick kind of fuzz that I'm kind of more accustomed to rather than the kind of Velcro thing. I generally like that kind of more thick, big muff, like germanium fuzz, those kind of fuzzes. Generally speaking, I find they work really well with my Kraken amp, and this kind of sounds a bit more that way out rather than like a Velcro fuzz thing or a silicon. I could be wrong, I don't know what type of fuzz is in there. And then the octave side is very much like a POG, except you've got other harmonies. Like, it sounds more like it could be the bigger POG in terms of its inspiration. And as I say, with the blend control having that extra functionality under the hood to dial in the amount, and of course the TRS jacks on the back, there's definitely more functionality in it than, I guess, those two individual pedals put together, bearing in mind that this is sort of two effects in one box. So in any case, what did you think? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you're interested in checking out this pedal, I'll link it in the description box, of course. But either way, I hope you've enjoyed the tones and everything that you've heard in this video. But as always, thank you for watching this video. Check out my links in the description box to my band VOWER, my own solo material, and everything else, all down below. But yeah, like, subscribe, and share. Let me know what you think in the comments. I've been Rabea, and I'll see you all very soon.